Good evening and welcome to this week's episode of Sunday Night Live, your favorite automotive show where we talk about all things automotive. Front of the store, back of the store, the office, doesn't really matter because the better we all get, the better the customer experience. And isn't that what it's all about? The customer experience. And I am very happy to have my good friend Steve Apicella with Your Dealer Experience here this evening to talk to us specifically about some of the great things they're doing in the space to help you retain those customers. So welcome, Steve.
Hey, how you doing, Paul? Listen, before we get started, I mentioned this before the show, but I want to say it in front of the whole group. Thank you for doing what you're doing. I know this is not easy to pull off. Sometimes I wish you would turn the camera around so everybody could see all the stuff it takes to make this a reality week after week. And Paul, sincerely, I wouldn't do this for anybody else on a Sunday night. I think it's brilliant timing because we can always make time to do it. But grateful to be on the show again. And I appreciate all that you do to make that possible.
Well, thank you very much, Steve. I appreciate your friendship and your support always. And, through life, we have choices on what we do and how we interact. And in so many other venues, interaction is almost like an obligatory yes, no, maybe, or some kind of emoji, and that's it. But when you engage with the content, whether it's in a live show or whether it's in a post, it's not just something thrown up there. You actually look at the situation, you analyze it, you think through a response, and I almost think it's like you hit pause, re-look at your response, tweak it, pause again, re-look at it again, and then to ensure that you're giving the absolute best possible response that adds value.
And, I love interacting. It's the content you have is always great. It's easy to stir up thoughts because the content is so rich. But I also really do believe it's not semantics for me that we really are stronger together as an industry, that when we bring these topics to light and we allow others to learn, engage, agree, disagree, it doesn't matter to me. We learn either way.
Right.
And that is the best way to grow.
You pick up a little something from everybody. We've got Michael Dean Offmuth. Hello, guys. Hey, Michael, how are you, man? Great to see you.
I just got to meet him, really spent some time with him this last week. It was very cool. Hey, Michael.
Great guy. And you know what? He's a guy that's out there getting it done.
You know what? And I'm gonna give kudos to him too. I said this in a post that he had put out there on LinkedIn with my wife and I and him and his son. We met at a restaurant. This guy's got his priorities straight. He knows what's valuable to a dealer, and he executes that very, very well. He's not selling products. He's really, through his training and the experiences he's delivering, he gets it. But then the other thing which I love about him is he's got his family priorities straight too. And as many posts that you see with him and his work, you'll see with him and his family. And that really resonates with me.
Yeah, so good to you, Michael.
Yep.
So for the one or two folks that may not know who this Steve Apicella guy is, why don't you tell us a little bit about you, and then we'll jump right into it.
Yeah, I'll make this part short because I think there's a lot of good content here. But my company is Strategic DX. The solution that we deploy in the industry is called Your Dealer Experience. It's a digital platform to connect the disconnected parts of the ownership journey between a dealer and their customer. We call it digital life cycle. Should the frictionless engagement between a dealer and their customer be exclusive to just acquiring a customer and end with the sale of the vehicle, or is that just where it should begin? So that's exactly what we're doing, is we're picking up those pieces and giving a dealer the strength to be able to really cultivate and grow a relationship beyond the point of sale, which, by the way, is the very essence and the very horsepower of what the brick and mortar side of our industry should be doing, that they can uniquely do better than anybody. So we touch F&I, we touch service, we touch just simple communications between a dealer and their customer so that you can truly build a relationship. Everybody knows business is built on relationships. Everybody knows that.
Always been.
But good relationships require good, relevant communication in order to thrive. And if that doesn't exist, then the relationship and therefore the business doesn't exist either. So it's
100%.
really connecting. The other part for us is we're not unseating or competing with an incumbent. We're filling a vacancy that's been there for a long, long, long time between sales and service. And, we've talked about this before, Paul, that this is the mistake that the industry, our great industry, is making. And again, our industry is doing a lot of things really well, but if you just refine the sales processes and if you just refine the service processes, there's still that gap in between the two. And you and I have talked about it. In fact, I heard you say this once that, I use the reference all the time that our industry treats sales and service like two separate businesses under one roof.
Yeah.
And the more that we do that, the more the customer feels that disconnection. And the truth is, this should be one continuous ownership journey between a dealer and their customer before, during, and after the sale with no gaps in between.
100%. I want to get to a couple of comments. LinkedIn user says, good evening, gentlemen. LinkedIn user, LOL. Paul, you know who this is. It's Lamont. Lamont always comes in as LinkedIn user during the live. Paul Machine, Ola friends. Hey, Paul and Scott Gregg. Good evening, everyone. Paul Machine says, customers for life. Why sell one car to one family when you can sell 4 to 5 plus extended family friends over a lifetime? Carl Sewell. Here's what I like. And I've had, a lot of experience in sales and service. My experience started early on, running several Meijer shops. And you learn in a pressure cooker environment, really the benefits of customer service. And, we tend to focus on, I think, a lot of the wrong things when really all we have to focus on is building that relationship. And there are different ways to do it. When you're in an aftermarket repair shop and these people come in and they interact with you, your counterperson, they know the mechanics by name and vice versa. We know their families, we know their stories. That's easy to do. At a dealership where it's a larger enterprise and there seem to be more layers, I don't think we have that same ease of communication with a customer. But that doesn't mean that with the right leveraging of technology and tools, we can't do that, which is what I love about your product, because it's not a hard sell. You're merely capturing or cultivating the relationship with an existing customer that has entrusted your dealership with $30, $40, $50, $60,000 or more of their money or financial commitment. And you guys communicate that in a push method, which is a safe method. It's like my brother or my sister tapping me on the shoulder to talk to me, to recapture a lot of what's lost.
These are simple solutions, but they're missing. So, when should the retention part of the relationship begin? It shouldn't begin 30 days later or 60 days later, or if the customer happens to come back to the service drive. Retention should begin right at the point of sale. And it should
even
be
before.
Yeah,
before, Steve, from minute one, the first conversation.
And it needs to be, the ball can't be dropped, because right now customers overwhelmingly, it's transactional. And it's even that way in our business. And some people will get their feathers ruffled about this, but I'll say it nonetheless because it's true. We measure success on the sales side by the number of cars sold, or we measure success on the service side by the number of ROs written. And the real measurement of success is the number of customers earned. And this idea of service absorption, people, it doesn't matter what the percentage one wants to believe. Whether I've heard some people say that's 50 or 60%, I've seen other studies that say it's more like 20% retention. When you take out the reasons why the customer has to come back to the dealer and they have no other choice, the retention level is really, really poor. That we're not when we look at it, every dealership has a why buy here proposition, but how many actually deploy a why return here proposition?
Effectively.
Effectively. And so it's about all of these steps along the way where it doesn't feel like after the customer bought a car that the transaction and therefore the relationship is over.
Right.
But that's the way the customer feels. And when you even look at, valuable additions over the last couple of years of like digital retailing, which I'm an advocate of, we do retailing, but post-sales retailing. But when you look at digital retailing, the associated digital experience associated to digital retailing abruptly ends before the sale. What does that tell a customer? It says, that's it. Everybody, we're done. There's nothing more to do. But the question is that value, and again, this is so simple. The blueprints are there, the data is there, is it takes less energy and less money to retain a customer than it does to acquire a customer. Like everybody knows that.
Yeah.
Why are we letting so many of these customers get away? And, when I look at, I heard somebody recently say, hey, ROs are going to be going down in the future. So the solution to that is to charge more per RO.
Got a bigger club.
I think that's ridiculous. What we need to do is increase the funnel that brings people and inspires them to continue to do business with their dealership. I look at F&I. F&I, the reason why we focus so heavily on F&I is because it's a critical financial work center for every dealer. But if it's so critical for the dealer, then why do we leave F&I revenue and the resulting customer experience benefits up to the micro moment of the F&I menu presentation alone? It's ridiculous. That's where it is, right? Or if the retention benefit is so valuable with F&I products, why do we deploy the 1985 style 1-800 number, different for each administrator, phone queue, call hold wait time, and manual claim processing when service is needed? That's equally ridiculous. And by the way, that's no longer best in class service in 2021, but that's the way the industry predominantly does it.
Because we've always done it this way.
Yeah. And
have you ever heard those words?
F&I administrators, I'm going to say this, and their agents play an incredibly valuable role in creating these products and distributing them and training them, because this is what creates this significant financial work center. But why do we leave it just to the micro moment of the F&I menu presentation? And why do we deploy the most expensive way to service it with people and phones and manual touches when it's the most expensive way to deploy the least desirable result? It doesn't make any sense. And what's happening is the industry, as it continues to evolve and everybody just stays the same, over time that gap gets bigger and bigger and bigger until something comes along to disrupt it, whether it's us disrupting it and making it better or some other segment in our industry
that we invite in.
Exactly right.
I want to get to a couple of comments, and then I want to comment on that. We've got Mark Williamson. Hello, says, what's going on, everybody? And well, hello, Linda Hansen. Happy Sunday, all. Eric from SDL. And you were on the SDL show the other day.
You know what? I apologize. I was planning on being on it this morning, and I'm going to continue. You were you and Corey Smith were the two guys that kind of turned me on to it. I really enjoyed last week's program with them. I'm glad that you're supportive. They're not a competitor to you. They're doing the same thing. They're fighting the same battle.
Yeah.
I look forward to being on there again. So hi, Eric.
So Eric and Joe Chambers, you message those guys to get the link. It's Sunday mornings, 7 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Eastern. Love it. Always great.
Mountain.
6 a.m. Mountain. A little different story there,
yeah.
Especially on a Sunday. Paul Machine says, spot on Steve, and says, Steve, what's your take on the 8 plus 16-year-old vehicles for service and to buy in the service lane, underserved by franchise dealers, and why? I'll let you answer that before I go to my earlier point.
Without getting into specific details about that, these customers that make a financial vote and they buy a car from the dealership, whether it's new or pre-owned, right? They're trusting that dealer. They can go anywhere. They chose that dealership. What should occur after that? It shouldn't be the end of the transaction, end of the relationship. there's so much more relationship and financial benefit to have, not just with that ownership cycle, but with the next vehicle traded in and the next vehicle sold. And again, we can't just, it's what's happening right now. It frustrates me to even, that we're even talking about it today, is that this lack of loyalty in our industry shouldn't be okay with anybody. And the ripple effect that it has beyond just the one-time purchase is massive. And it's the next customer buying a car. People have talked about that before. It's the next RO. It's other family members bringing their car to that dealership because of the experience. It's the next traded in vehicle. Boy, there's so much more to be had with these relationships beyond the one-time transaction. And Paul, this is where, I talk about why I get sometimes very passionate, very frustrated about it, is the idea of digital transformation doesn't mean that the dealer locks their front doors. I get so frustrated on this topic. Like, if we're going to adopt digital, what about all the things that we do? We have a dealership. We value the in-person engagement. I'm not telling you to stop doing that.
It's an enhancement. That's all it is.
It casts a wider net. It brings more people in, and it removes the longstanding pain points that disrupt the in-person engagement.
Right.
That's where, again, when it's done correctly, again, our mantra is connect the disconnected. There's a lot of disconnected parts. And one of the biggest one is between sales and service. There's a massive disconnection. And we can't just hope that customers will come back. And we can't just hope that we can use phone solicitations to inspire them. That's not good enough anymore. And anybody who's passionate about the health and growth of this industry beyond this moment, we have to start measuring success by earning customers beyond the one-time transaction. We have to.
It's always been about the relationship. I underline that, underscore that. And I learned that early on. And I used to drive my techs crazy because I'd have a customer come in, come up to the counter, look, I'm going out of town. I need my oil changed. I know I waited too long, but I don't have a lot of time. I'm here on my lunch hour. In the meantime, my parking lot's full. I've got big jobs already started. I said, hey, no problem. We got you covered. So I would have one of the techs take a large job off the lift. The car was left. It's not like they were going to pull the plug on the job, but I had him pull the car off the lift, get that $19 oil change in back in the day, to get that customer up, changed, and out the door in a time frame that accommodated their schedule. And the mechanics would look at me like, are you crazy? I'm working on a $1,200 brake job and you take me off of that to put me on a $19 oil change? Am I missing something? I said, yeah, the reason you have that $1,200 brake job and all of the other work that customer needs is because when they come in their hour of need and they have a need, I treat the $19 customer like gold, just as I do the $2,000 customer.
Every single moment matters.
Zero moment of truth every time.
And you know what? If we think it's okay to overcharge customers when they buy a car because we can, that's a mistake. If we think it's okay to dismiss a customer because the job isn't valuable enough, that's a mistake. Along the way, this is what we have to do. This is the very essence of what separates the brick and mortar dealer from the 100% online retailers, is their unique ability to also locally service their customer.
To build that one-on-one relationship.
These can't be, to a customer, this has to feel like one ownership journey before, during, and after the sale. They can't be disconnected parts as they often are perceived. Like, okay, I bought a car. Now I got to figure out who I'm going to go to have it serviced. That should just be part of one journey where our customers are inspired to come back to their dealership again and again and again and again. And like I said, you guys, I honor our industry when I say I believe we're doing a lot of things right. Of course we are, but we're missing a lot of important things too. And when I hear talk about modern retailing or things like that, modern retailing, again, shouldn't be about a one-time transaction. Modern retailing and the automotive brick and mortar dealership should be about ownership life cycle and all the financial and relationship touch points that come with that beyond the one-time transaction. And that's what we have to focus on. And adopting it doesn't mean abandoning the things that make your dealership uniquely you. It just casts a wider net, brings in more people, and keeps that relationship part continuous throughout their ownership journey together. That's
Because
it.
you're covering all the bases. Now, here's before a few years ago, I think the number was 7 in 10 people that go into the box, the F&I office, don't end up buying products. And that's what it was before. Maybe it's stronger now, but 7 in 10 of them did not buy. And it's always been, oh, when you go in there, they're going to try to sell you something. So we've conditioned the customers over the years to come into the box kind of like this. Oh, I'm in a hurry. I spent too much time outside already. I need to get going. All right. So the F&I person's got what, 45 minutes to remain compliant with the paperwork, to build rapport, because a lot of them still don't go out to the salesperson's desk early on for the introduction, which is key because that saves a lot of time and that gets you 3 steps ahead in the rapport. So they have a very short amount of time and the customers are coming in like this. So now, you know, we, at a dealer level, we look at F&I as a profit center. Let's be honest, that's how we look at it. But here's how I look at it, and I'm sure this is how you look at it, Steve. It's so much more than that. It's so much more because when you don't get the opportunity to present products to your customers that have entrusted their money with you that not only protect them, but enhance their ownership experience over time, you're doing them a disservice and you're doing you and your ownership a disservice. Because guess what? When they hit that pothole with that 19-inch wheel and they blow out a wheel and tire and it costs them $1,500, are they going to remember that they went into the box like this? Or are they going to, wait a minute, you mean there's something that for $20 could have prevented this?
This is, and I could spend a whole show talking about just this topic, but it's, if you think about how critical the revenue is from F&I, and you think about all the grenades that we throw in front of that, where we should do just the opposite. For example, how many times is the customer really aware of the F&I products before they show up in the F&I environment? Almost never, right? We make it the world's greatest secret until they show in and surprise, here's 10 products you've never heard of before. That's ridiculous. There's in the F&I menu presentation, which again, I want everybody to hear me. I want to keep the F&I menu process. That should be there. But should that be the limit of the accessibility of these valuable products for a customer? That's ridiculous. You know, should a service advisor have intuitive access on their desktop to all the products the customer did buy and be able to process digital claim processing without picking up different 1-800 numbers for each F&I administrator and phone queues and call wait times and manual claim processing? Of course, in 2022, that should exist. Should they also be able to see what products the customer didn't buy at the point of sale and offer them to their customer after the point of sale, whether that's directly to the customer or through the service advisor? The answer is of course, but that's not what our industry is doing. Is if it's not sold in F&I, and you know the statistics are, no matter what statistic, I hate when people argue about statistics. Here's what I say about statistics: is irregardless of how good you think you're doing with F&I penetration or with service absorption, could you be doing better?
Every time.
That's it. That's all you need. That's just it, right? So no matter what, because people get stuck on, well, ours is better. You know, we're great at F&I. Well, the truth is, for the industry, is most dealers have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 products on their F&I menu, and the industry's acceptance rate at the point of vehicle sale is 1.6. Let's play devil's advocate and say it's 2. What happened to the other 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 products? They're gone forever, and most dealers
pretty much
gone forever. The customer never gets to see them again. It just, that's it. It's the end of it.
You got a 45-minute window. That's it. That's the current state of most of this.
And again, I'll share this with our platform because it should be eye-opening and revealing, is in the F&I menu presentation, 100% of the time, there's always some obstacle. There's a time constraint, there's a funding constraint, there's a fatigue constraint with the customer that just got done with a 3-hour car buying process and they're ready to move along. We offer these products to a customer on their smartphone and show them, here's everything you did buy in one digital view, even if those are powered by multiple administrators, and provide the digital claim pathway for the customer or service advisor to be able to engage without the 1-800 number, phone queue, call, hold, wait time, manual claim processing, jump through rings of fire, 1985 approach. But then we also show the customer or the service advisor on behalf of the customer very powerfully and very organically, here's all the products you didn't buy when you purchased your car, to allow them to see them, understand them, and God forbid in 2022, actually be able to buy them right on their smart device or their computer. When customers buy these, and guess what? They buy a lot of them. And it's not 5 years down the road, it's 15 to 30 days after the sale of the vehicle. We ask them one digital question as part of that workflow. Why didn't you buy this product when you purchased your vehicle? The overwhelming answer, and we get lots of responses, is I didn't know the product was available.
Thank you.
The reason why the industry should sit up and take notice is if you understand F&I menu presentations, it's 100% of the products 100% of the time. It's not if the products were presented, it's whether the customer was able to receive that information in that micro moment of the F&I menu presentation alone. Why do we shortchange ourselves and our customers by creating that self-inflicted limitation? It doesn't make any sense at all. And the same thing for our service advisors and service directors. Think about, it's supposed to be a retention thing too, right? So customer organically comes back. We've talked about this before, Paul. And with the unannounced, and service advisor greets them, and the customer says, hey, I bought my car here and I bought some protection products too. I need service support. And the service advisor, ill-equipped by our industry, has to ask the customer, what
did you buy, Steve?
Yeah. Do you have a copy of your warranty or service contract with you? Do you know who it's
Whoa, Steve, I bought the car from you. You, the dealership. Now you're the guy.
And this is what tears down relationships, is that customer is thinking or saying, time out, I bought this crap from you. Don't you know? And it's unfair to our service departments, and it's unfair to the service advisors that our industry doesn't equip them properly. With our platform, whether they're holding a smart device or at their computer, we do a live web call to all of the F&I product providers to validate, does this customer exist? Do they have active coverage, and what is it? And allow the service advisor to engage in digital claim processing so that they can focus their energy on delivering service and not navigating multiple 1-800 numbers, phone queues, call, hold, wait times, and manual claim processing. This is long past due. And the benchmark of why I choose, remember, we're not an F&I third-party administrator. I honor those companies.
You're a conduit.
I'm a conduit to connect the disconnected parts, right? I don't tell dealers that they have to change their providers. I say, but why do you allow this analog anarchy to strain your relationship with your customer? It makes no sense at all. And again, in broadcasts like this, or people being aware that we've won Dealer Choice Awards or whatever other awards we've won, once you understand that there's a better way, then you either are a part of the solution or part of the problem that allows it to exist or not. And again, these micro moments, when a customer comes in, if you're asking them, what products do we sell you? How likely is that?
Game over.
For anything. Yeah,
forget it.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. So, and then should the service advisor and the service drive be able to financially benefit also from selling F&I products without that being the world's greatest mystery?
Yeah.
Of course they should. And then, again, long overdue. F&I providers are very valuable. F&I agents are very valuable. The revenue and the resulting customer experience is very valuable. We just have to disconnected engagement parts that make that simple, frictionless, and easy. And that's what we do. That's what our platform does.
I want to get to a couple of comments, and then I've got a couple of things I want to add to that, put a kind of a different twist on it than most people are even thinking about. And I think this hopefully will be enlightening for some. My Fixed Ops brother, Robert Sebastian, says revolutionary. And Paul Machine says, agree, Steve and Paul, on the DRS revolution. It means high tech and high touch. It does not mean high tech and no touch. Bam. Brian Feldman.
Yeah.
Customer experience drives retention, always has and always will. And you said a key word a moment ago that I'm going to get back to. Mike Fisher, key to F&I, present 100% of the time. Most people will buy something. And if you know what, if it's done smartly, by actually knowing what products of those 10 represent the best value. Look, if items number 8 or 9 are the only ones that offer value to me, I'm going to be checked out by item 4. So you've missed the boat, and I've missed the boat, sadly. Jared Kalfas, is there any data on F&I penetration that compares the difference between a dedicated F&I rep who offers it versus a salesperson who does the whole deal soup to nuts? I'm not sure, Jared. There's
I'd love
data
to
for everything.
I'd love to speak to that too. So there are platforms out there. I think they're good platforms that have the one person selling, and you remove the F&I manager. The value proposition there is stop spending so much money on the F&I manager. And even if you penetrate left products, at the end of the day, you're going to net gain because you're not spending so much money on the F&I manager. I think this is a dealership by dealership choice. If you've got a strong F&I manager that's knocking it out of the park, why would you change that? Again, my suggestion is not to stop, to Mike Fisher. I'm not telling anybody to stop the F&I menu presentation, but why should F&I revenue be limited to just that?
Right.
It should be able to extend. Imagine, Mike, if you brought in an extra 37 service contracts or warranties a month to your dealer that were purchased after the fact, not by using the methods that are out there of phone solicitations and junk mail and pressuring customers that they better buy or else face financial peril, but just educate them and make these accessible right on their smartphone in 2022. That's the way to do it. And there's, again, F&I managers. If dealers have an F&I process that works, don't abandon it. That's not what I'm saying. Right. But can it be better? Can you improve? This is where people get stuck in the mud, is that no matter what you think your service absorption is, and no matter what you think your F&I acceptance is, can it be better?
It can always be better.
Of course it can be. Yep.
Brian Feldman says Jared Kalfas dedicated about 20 points greater. So yeah, there's data for everything. Now here's where I wanted to go before. Okay, you use the word analog, and that's a perfect word, because that reminds me of some technology that remember there was a time where television sets had to be replaced because of the signal.
Right.
And if you had an old analog television, then guess what? In today's world, that wasn't going to work anymore. Now, I'm seeing an interesting parallel here. It's kind of a cliff that we're heading towards. We expect this type of customer service, which is relationship building. And if we don't get it, are we going to be like those analog TV sets? That was the one point I wanted to make. The other point I wanted to make is that, look, any service departments that's worth their salt does their prep work before the customer comes in for service. We've checked for declined work. We've checked for mileage recommendations. We've checked for recalls, open recalls. We've checked for all of that. What we don't check for is the thing that can enhance the owner's experience over the long haul, which makes them more committed to your dealership, which brings in their family, their friends, their coworkers, the people from church, the people they meet at the club, all these other people to you. We don't prep for that. So now here's a twist on your tool. So I've got this tool. I know Mrs. Jones is coming in. I know that based on her history with our store, She buys X amount of vehicles over X amount of time. I know how many miles she puts on her cars. I know the service she gets done because we have all her history, right? How valuable would it be? And we get a lot of cars that come into our shop. A shop has a lot of cars inside and a lot of cars outside. You mean to tell me there's not a car in the shop today, right now, with curb rash, with a star on the windshield, with a ding and dent, with a broken key or a missing key? You mean to tell me there's none of that? So now Mrs. Jones comes in for her service. She's greeted promptly by an advisor that knows her, has been building a relationship with her. Hey, welcome. It's great to see you again. You're here for this service. You can confirm it, do your walk around. Hey, you know what? I want to show you something. Maybe there's a ding on her car, but more importantly, maybe there's a ding on another car that's in an area that's getting ready to come into the shop. Hey, Mrs. Jones, come with me. I want to show you something. I know you take a lot of pride in the appearance of your car, and I can certainly see that. Stuff does happen. I want to show you what happened to this person here. You show her the ding. You show her the star in the glass. You show her the curb rash. Mrs. Jones, what was that? Was your car? Would you be happy with that? What would your answer be, Steve?
You know what I love about this is it's a matter of perspective. When does a new car, and again, new for the customer, that can be a pre-owned car, a new car, new for the customer. When does a new car become a used car? Well, in our industry, the second it rolls off the lot, it's a used car, right? But that's
not to them.
That's not true to the customer. When a new vehicle becomes a used vehicle is when one of these appearance blemishes happen. They curb a wheel, they get a door ding, they get a windshield chip. Brian Feldman's company does a great job with this, whether it's environmental damage or one of these other service contract related products. And again, we're not advocates for ever shopping damage and causing claims inside of service drives. But if the customer understands what that is, and especially if they've had one and they've had to pay for the repair, wouldn't you like a service contract or warranty that protects your ownership experience and the value of your vehicle?
Yes.
Your ownership term, of course, right? That's a no-brainer. I think that for a lot of people that is. But in the context of the F&I menu presentation at Micro Moment, those opportunities are so often dismissed because the customer is already checked out. And
they're like this.
They're ready to move along. I want to say this too, because our time always goes by very, very, very quickly, Paul, when we're together. Is there's blueprints for what modern retailing is supposed to look like. And Amazon is obviously one of those. They're $1 trillion plus valued company, not because they can sell something one time. So create the parallels here with the automotive industry. Is the automotive industry's mission to only sell a car and maybe an F&I product or two, or to also earn a reoccurring customer? If the latter is true, we have to do a better job about actually earning that. If you look at Amazon, the reason why they're $1 trillion plus value company is not because they can sell something digitally one time. It's that they figured out the desired customer engagement before and after the sale that keeps their customer coming back again and again and again and again. Customers go back. I mean, if you ask anybody who shops with Amazon, it's not if they do, it's how often they do, right? Boxes show up on my doorstep every day from Amazon. But here's the deal. Amazon's not the cheapest resource any longer.
No.
Because of the experience that they have before and after the sale, you don't even think twice about using them again and again and again and again. And this is the thing our industry needs to learn. And it's also interesting to know too, people that don't think Amazon is a valid comparison. Amazon's chock full of brick and mortar to deliver their services.
Hello.
Right? It's not indifferent. But for our industry, if we want to earn the reoccurring customer beyond the one-time transaction, we have to have the processes and we have to have the conviction to do that. We can't just be counting the cars that we sold each month and feel good about that. It's about the customers that we actually earn. And do we have a process, a why return here process that's relevant? It's not just a BDC department that's going to blow them up on the phone or send them junk email. Again, I think BDC departments are healthy for sales and for service. but they too have to have the kind of mechanisms that really connect with their customers the way the customers want to be connected with today. And again, that's a huge part of what our platform does, is to earn that reoccurring customer starting at the point of sale and not abandoning the customer, be able to engage in a modern way, create incentives for customer loyalty, be able to extend the F&I revenue runway beyond the micro moment of the F&I menu presentation alone, and to digitize the claim process in one application, even if there's multiple administrators, is a huge step in that direction. And again, I want to underscore, do I think dealers are doing a lot of things right? Yes.
Absolutely. 100%.
Do I think the in-person process should prevail? Yes. I'm a digital guy and I say yes.
But with you 100%.
The digital part removes those long-standing pain points and makes the relevant connection to make those in-person connections more valuable and more meaningful. And irregardless of how good you think you're doing in car sales, F&I, and service, you can always do. But the truth is that statistics are embarrassingly bad. But if you're going to argue that point, then my point will be, could it be better? And the answer
is, to your point
no.
About Amazon, here's my Amazon app. Here's some of the items. Delivered today, delivered today, delivered today, delivered today, delivered Thursday, delivered Tuesday, delivered Tuesday, delivered Tuesday, delivered Monday, delivered Monday, delivered Monday, delivered Monday, delivered Monday.
And
right?
Paul, here's the financial equation. If Amazon didn't have the reoccurring customer, guess what? They wouldn't be $1 trillion company.
Right.
That's the magic equation, is that for our auto sales industry, we have to look at retention in the life cycle of a customer. We have to do that in more than just words. Actions. And processes matter. We must embrace that and then deliver it. I call it digital life cycle beyond digital retailing.
100%. I want to get to a couple of comments. Jerry Davis, another one of my SDL Fixed Ops brothers. Great topic tonight. Paul, you always have great people on here. Well, thank you, Jerry. I appreciate your support, man. He says the cheap comes out expensive. It's more about the experience for the customer. Bam. And Mark Williamson, Amazon is a one-stop shop. They don't have third parties in order to shop and transact. One application makes the customer experience. Well, you know, that's an interesting point Mark brings up, because when I, as a customer, go to a dealership, in my mind, based on the experience that's kind of offered up by the store, singular, is I'm going to 3 businesses, sometimes 4. Okay, I bought my car from the sales business. Now I have to go to the service business. If I want to buy some accessory, I have to go to their parts business. And God forbid I get into a fender bender. Now I have to go to their body shop business, as opposed to that one business all being one.
And if I understand Mark's comment there, which is brilliant, if I understand it correctly, is there's a lot of businesses that are involved in making Amazon what it is.
Yes.
For the customer, they have one user interface before and after the sale. Think about the difference between them and eBay. It's essentially the same platform, but the difference is with eBay, you're dealing with somebody in Singapore for one thing and somebody in Elkhart, Indiana for another, right? Yeah. This unifies that journey. The Your Dealer Experience application does exactly the same thing. Imagine if a dealership had, even if they modernized their F&I providers, and their F&I providers all delivered an app, and each one had its own app that only worked with their products and them, that would contemplate the service advisor or customer dealing with multiple apps. What if they had an app for communication then, and an app for loyalty or rewards? Then you're asking the customer to download 4 different apps. That doesn't work either. Ours is a dealer branded app that unifies all that behind the scenes so that there's one relationship between the dealer and their customer. That's it. So Mark, if I got that right, bravo, because you're 100% spot on.
And a couple of points to that. He said, Mark says, Amazon owns the process. They do. By the same token, the dealership can own the process. He says, yes, Steve. The dealership can own the process as well and unifying the departments. Okay, because what I love about Amazon is that they have all these different retailers. Some of them are online only retailers. Some of them are a mix of online and brick and mortar. But what they add to the equation, in my opinion, is the accountability piece. Because if the thing that I buy on Amazon is crap, if it doesn't work right, I don't have to fight with. I don't know what I bought. Can't you tell me? I don't have to do any of that. All I have to do is start my return, and I don't even have to wrap the package in a box anymore. I can drive to the dedicated drop-off centers where all I have to do is, after I process my claim, I go into the store, I hand them my barcode, they scan it, they put it in a package, they stick the label to it. After I've dropped it off, I'm done.
And you immediately get your money back right then.
Yeah, it's processed.
Yeah. What's amazing about that is you just described the difference between Amazon, the $1 trillion plus company, and eBay. So eBay, try returning something with eBay. You got to deal with the individual seller. It's all a nightmare. The reason why Amazon's $1 trillion, because they've unified that process. That's the blueprint for modern retailing for the automotive industry. The in-person process should prevail.
Always number one in my book.
The digital process must exist to connect the disconnected parts, so it's one ownership journey before, during, and after.
We're so short on time today, right? Everything is, we spend our days in this state of continual stress. Time is a premium. Time is the only thing we can never get back. And what the digital tool does is it enhances, it takes away the mundane. It takes away, hold on, Mr. Jones. I'm on the phone. I'm on hold. I'm waiting. Okay. It takes the mundane and it removes it from the equation. So now I can focus on, it's like I'm reading your mind. You come in, I know what's on your mind, and I'm able to deal with it in a fast and efficient, user-friendly manner to be able to satisfy you as a customer. I don't need to put you through the rigmarole. That's not why you're there.
Paul, this is never lost on me. I'm part of the dealer support community, just like you are, just like a lot of people that are listening are watching. The most important relationship in the auto sales industry is between the dealer and their customer. And the support community exists to strengthen that relationship, not tear it down, strengthen that relationship to lead to more revenue and more meaningful loyalty. Tell me I'm wrong. And again, I don't care what you do in the dealer support community, that should be your mission. And if it's not, you should relook at what you're doing. The most important relationship is between the dealer and their customer. And as a support community, it's our job to strengthen that relationship, leading to more revenue and more meaningful loyalty between the dealer and their customer. And anything that distracts from that should be unacceptable by the dealer community from their support community. Again, I honor the hell out of the support community. I'm part of it. Our companies, like Brian Feldman's, valuable, critically valuable. Is a agent like Michael Offmeth valuable, critically valuable? But we have to be fighting for the same ultimate goal, which is to strengthen the relationship between the dealer and their customer, leading to more revenue before and after the sale, and a better customer experience that leads to more meaningful loyalty. And if we're not doing that, we should recheck what we're doing.
And we should all, and my friend Paul Machine says this better than anybody, a rising tide lifts all boats. We should all be pushing to that end. And I'm going to get to a couple of comments. Yep. Jerry Davis said, set up your separate businesses under one umbrella, centralize the data, have the customer be able to use or go into one interface. Sound like any company you know, Steve? Mark Williamson says, simple equals $signs. It's even beyond that. Simple equals customer experience, which by default equals $signs. It's, which came first, right? You put the customer first, everything else falls into place. Your hours per RO, your retention numbers, everything. We have one job to focus on, Steve. One and only one, and that's to make it so easy for with the customer. And Jerry Davis says, never let time stand in the way of helping a customer. The customer experience needs to be tailorable to the time the customer wants to spend with you. You have to be adaptable, right? We talked about early in the call this morning about, scheduling service and having a customer come in at 10 minutes before closing for a light on issue, which is a total unknown, right? It drives people crazy, but you have to be adaptable. I fondly remember, not that I like staying hours late after work, but I fondly remember it was a Saturday afternoon, and there was this youth group from out of state that was passing through, and they heard a noise from one of their wheels. It turns out they needed a pretty major brake job. The pads were down to metal and they were grinding it, and they had still days worth of travel ahead of them. Now, they come in mid-afternoon. Saturdays are a busy day. We're jammed. Well, guess what? It wasn't even a question of if. It wasn't a question of you're going to have to stay at a hotel. None of that. The techs all pitched in. We had multiple techs working on the vehicle at the same time. We got the parts, the parts store to help us out with parts that we didn't happen to have in stock, but they sent their driver late after hours to deliver the parts that we needed to complete their vehicle. And guess what? I think we closed at 5, something like that. It was probably about 8 o'clock or so that I was test driving the van to make sure that everything was done. It was. And it was just the cutest scene to see all these kids in the waiting area on the floor, sitting, their legs crossed and playing games and singing songs and all kinds of stuff. But we adapted to the customer need. The customer need today is, if I have a problem, I don't want to have to bust out the decoder ring to figure out what my problem is. I trust you. I buy my car from you. I come to you for service. If there's a problem, even if I don't know about it, I want you, my advocate, Steve, to be able to tell me, hey, listen, here, I know you didn't come in for this, but I see here you have a warranty on this item, and we're going to take care of this while you're here. And oh, by the way, I know this didn't happen to you, but I'm just letting you know. Here, let me show you this other car. This problem could happen to you, and I get it. You've got 45 minutes in the F&I office. A lot of times it all sounds like mumbo jumbo, and I'm sure sometimes stuff can get lost in the translation. But I just want to give you another opportunity to see what you missed out on. Oh, I didn't realize that. How much is that? Yeah, no, that makes sense. I'm keeping the car. The average age is what, 12 years?
Another thing that just rolls through my mind here, Paul, is, we're very, very good at what we do, and people say this all the time, and it's cliche, but it is true, is that we need to always be students, and we always have to keep learning, right?
Yeah.
With all of our success as we've grown as a company, I desire to work with Joe Chambers on the service drive and to work together and collaborate. I desire to work with Michael Offmuth and collaborate. I desire to work with Brian Feldman and to work together in a way that we're fighting for the same goal. Yes. I understand each of them has their role, right? And the way they make their money. But I believe that we're all aligned in what we must do to really maximize the benefit of that. And I think in 2022, we're either a part of the solution or a part of the problem. And I don't think there's any in between. There is no sideline. Yeah. Either we're building our industry together or we're part of the disconnected from reality problem. And there's a lot of big voices out there. Brian Kramer, who's a good one, and Brian Benstock, who's another good one. And, it's often said that the gargoyles at the gate, you've heard this phrase, right?
Yes.
They're talking about Carvana, and they're talking about, those external threats. The gargoyles at the gate is ourselves. It's our own ability or inability to help our industry grow and maximize its results. And I take a lot of pride in doing that. I love the people that we work with. The people that agree with me, I listen to, and the people that are the naysayers, I listen to them too, because I think
You have to.
learn. But again, it's through our collaboration together that we're going to really make this thing reach its maximum result. And the maximum result, by the way, is not how many cars we sell.
Right.
It's how many customers we earn beyond the one-time sale.
Albert Thompson, always remember that the customer experience should be our North Star. Great show, Paul Meijer and Steve Apicella. Thank you, Albert. Linda Hansen says, a lot of stores will have 2 or more techs work on the car at the same time to get the job done. Yep, the team concept is one I certainly believe in, and a lot of stores do employ that. Jerry Davis says, what a great show. Paul, keep it up, brother. Sounds like Steve, sounds like you have a great head for the dealership business. Look forward to seeing you around. Thank you, Jerry. And Linda says, I sure wish more retailers would put their finance product offerings on their website so the customers can be knowledgeable when they come in to buy. Sure makes life easy. Agree or disagree, listening is key. Spot on, because guess what? We research so much stuff before we buy it, right? And it makes sense. I buy warranties for every electronic product I buy, and I underline that with every.
Just think about it, and I tell people, say this out loud. Why do we make, if it's so valuable to a dealer and so valuable to the customer experience and loyalty factor, why are F&I products the world's greatest secret until they get into that micro moment? And
it's
why,
almost like you're hiding something.
It's ridiculous. And why is it left up only to that micro moment alone? It's a mistake. It's the way it's always been done. Maybe because it's lacked a credible process, but there is a way to do it productively in 2022, and that's part of the charge that we're leading.
And by having it on the website, along with video as to why it's important, that's key. Because before I bought, I was deciding, do I get a Fitbit Sense or do I get an iPhone? So I watched way more videos than most people would have the patience to watch, but I'm probably not unlike a lot of consumers that does a fair amount of research, looks at reviews, looks at explainer videos, looks at product demo videos, and then makes a decision. Now, I am very happy with the decision I made to go with the Fitbit. Why? Because me, I like to have the data accessible all the time, which means that it goes through battery faster. The battery's supposed to last 4 days compared to the iWatch that was supposed to, according to the chart, last, I think, a day and a half or something like that. Well, guess what? Because of how I use it, I charge this up every other day. So I've done the research. I'm very happy with what I got. Had I gotten the other product, I would probably be miserable because I'd have to charge it every day based on my usage. If I'm looking to spend a lot of money on a car, and there are these products that enhance my ownership experience, and there are corresponding videos that highlight the value, then yes, you're not going to have to sell it to me. I'm going to come in asking about it. Hey, this car's great. Listen, I keep my car for X amount of period of time, and I've lost a bunch of keys over the time. I saw you had this particular product on your website. I'm interested in it. How much does that cost? Or better yet, have the pricing on the thing. I'd also like to add this, and this to my purchase. Do you have a problem with that?
This is where, this kind of digital engagement to enhance the in-person experience, right?
Yeah.
Let people digitally engage so they can inform themselves, inspire themselves. They'll be better customers. And again, it was mentioned earlier, we have to unify the experience. You can't have, if you're interested in looking at these ancillary products, go over here and look at them. Or if you're interested in looking at this mechanical, go over here. That's ridiculous. And the same thing is for service, and the same thing is for buying these products after the point of sale.
Yeah.
In 2007, these were made. It's 2022. Isn't it about time we start leveraging them, but leveraging them responsibly, where we're unifying the engagement and not separating it? And the same thing too, again, if anything resonates with anybody, modern retailing and the very unique thing that separates today's brick and mortar dealer from everybody else is their unique ability to also service their customers locally better than anybody.
Anybody,
Shouldn't
bar
that
none.
be part of the total ownership journey and not just a one-time transaction?
Yeah, I want to get to a couple of comments because this hour, this hour always happens so fast, Steve. Eric says, great show, gentlemen. Thank you, Eric. I appreciate your support, my friend. Michael Weldon, thanks. Great commentary. Thank you very much for tuning in. Linda Hanson, thanks for having Steve as a speaker. Oh, I love Steve. But then, Steve, you know that. Mark Williamson says, dealers are scared to put their F&I product pricing online because everyone knows it's a moving target. True, but they know it's a moving target. If you know something is the way it is and it's subject to change, it's no different than gas prices.
Even with that, Paul, just really quick. So because they don't want to put their pricing online, don't put anything about their products online. That doesn't make any sense. Like, educate the customers what these are, so when they walk into whatever the dealer's F&I environment is, whether it's an F&I manager or a one-person process, that they're not walking into it blind. It doesn't make any sense. For, again, the culture is people want to understand. They want to be educated, not sold.
Yes.
If you educate people, you will inspire them to buy. That's it. And there's no reason why it should be the biggest secret. If you don't want to put your prices online, don't do it. But why would you mask what the great value of these products really are? It doesn't make any sense.
But here's my take on that. And we're going to go a couple minutes over. Hopefully that's okay. Look, if you make life so easy for me, okay, I drive an hour one way to service at my dealer. 1 hour one way, and I wait there, or they give me a car if I want to go run errands. Okay. Why do I do that? Because they make it so easy for me. Do you think for 1 minute that if I'm in the market to buy something and I see you've got this advertised, so you're telling me stuff that adds value to my ownership experience, and okay, so you have a $900 price on this particular item. Okay. I know stuff isn't cheap. I know stuff costs money. But if I saw somebody else that gave a cheaper price, you think I'm really going to leave you and the wonderful relationship you've offered and given me over the years for a cheaper price? I might have a conversation with you. Say, hey, I just want to say to you, look, I saw this. This is what I saw. There's this 800. Yours is 900. I just want to understand the difference. That's all. And if it really is the same thing, at that point they can either match the price, come close to the price, or explain to me, hey, you know what? This is what theirs covers, these 5 things. We know all about that because we've done the work. All right, prep. We've done the work. This is what theirs covers. This is what ours covered. When you look at the differences between the two, I mean, it's up to you.
And automotive isn't exempt from this. They're not exempt from evolution, and they're not exempt from the research and statistics that are out there that customers are willing to pay more, a reasonable amount, but pay more for a better experience. And
I'll do it all day long.
This is the commoditization problem. When you get down to price and there's no other reason than the cheapest price, then you have commoditized your offering. And you have to elevate way above the products that you offer. The automotive OEMs have already done this, right? If you take a look at any car commercial out there, it's about the experience of owning a Mercedes-Benz. That's how they can differentiate themselves, regardless of the brand, from everybody else. If you start getting down to, okay, they all have 4 wheels, they all have a steering wheel, they all have brakes, then you start to commoditize and look at price. It's the experience that they deliver that makes these OEMs unique. The same is true for a dealer. The same is true for Amazon. The same is true for any other successful entity in any other segment. Experience rules a customer's decision-making process, period.
And the ease of doing business with. I bought an elliptical recently, okay? I've done my research. I know what these things go for. I know what all the offerings are. I contacted certain companies who never responded. I repeat, they never responded. And this is not a cheap item, okay? It's a very expensive item. I reached out to this company in Rhode Island. The guy was quick to respond. I discussed a little bit about pricing. I said, look, I know these things are all over the map. I'm not looking for the cheapest price, but I want you to give me at least a decent price that I feel good about, that you still make money. Okay. And the guy was really upfront. He gave me a decent price right out of the gate. He was able to accommodate my time frame. And guess what? I ordered the unit. We drove an hour to Rhode Island to have him demo the product. I was already pre-sold on it because I'd done all my research and I had used a lesser grade model of the same company. So I was already pre-sold, but I just wanted him to guide me through, this is what this machine does in addition to all the other things. He gave me a competitive price, was very responsive, dealt with me the way I needed to be dealt with and wanted to be dealt with. And guess what? We went there, we loved it, we scheduled delivery, and while we were there, we bought an additional piece of equipment that my wife's eye caught in the corner. Said, "Ooh, that looks kind of nice. You know, I've been wanting one of those."
My last 3 automotive purchases, the only person that ever followed up with me after the purchase was one dealer. There are 3 separate dealers. One salesperson that relentlessly called me to make sure I filled out the survey, which I never received. That's it, right? So when you talk about business,
no agenda there.
Yeah, when you talk about businesses built on relationships, and good longstanding relationships require good communication, why the hell would I ever go back to those dealers if after the transaction was over, they never reached out to me in a way that connected with me? It doesn't make any sense.
Right. And guess what? We're going to go back for additional fitness equipment to that place. I'm not even going to check with anybody else because I know that guy treated me square, treated us square. I bought 2 pieces of equipment. My eye caught another piece of equipment. I'm going back for. I got a couple more comments here. Let's see here. Mark, customers actually buy more when they can preview the products and the pricing. I agree. Dealers are intimidated to putting the customers in charge. 100%. Linda says, Mark, I agree. Dealers are scared of an informed customer. Mark says, amen. Linda follows up with, I know the price can be compared when I buy on Amazon. Yeah, it tells you right there. But I don't buy the cheaper one necessarily. I buy the one that best fits my needs, right? Mark Williamson says, great show, guys. Mike Fisher, 81% of retail shoppers conduct online research before buying. The overwhelming majority of retail customers start their journey with online search. Linda Hansen says, hold point, Mike. And those numbers are growing week by week. As we're having this conversation, those numbers are growing, Linda. Make it easy and make it transparent. The online journey must match the retail experience, which is exactly what happened at the fitness store in Rhode Island. Greg Dudley, sales is service and service is sales 100%. It is one company, one family that you're doing business with. Linda says, good point, Mike. The online journey has to match the retail experience, seamless and easy. Philip App says, great show tonight, very informative. It's all about the customer experience. Dealers need to keep them in-house. Connect with YDE. It works. Thank you, gentlemen. And Linda says, follow-up is critical. Not begging for a survey. Follow-up builds retention and loyalty more than surveys do. And Brian Kramer, speak of the devil. We were just talking about that guy. Steve Apicella just gets it. Thank you, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Yeah. So this is, I love having you. I could talk to you, and we've talked at length in person, on the phone, and on the show. And I always enjoy our conversation because we see the world through such similar lenses.
Another thing too. So I want to point out a couple of things. One is I love your show, Paul, but without the audience and the participation, I'm really grateful to everybody who comments each week with you. It's very valuable. Yes. The other thing is, I hope it comes across. I love the industry that I serve. I really, really do. And I fight like a lot of other people's fight for its growth and its health. I want to keep saying dealers are doing a lot of things right. There's just some disconnected parts that prohibits us from maximizing what these relationships should be and not just these transactions should be. So thank you, Paul, for having me again. Count me in anytime. I love being on your show.
Thank you very much. And as always, I want to thank the audience that's both on tonight and those that will watch it on the replay, because we get a lot of people that watch it on the replay. I'll get comments weeks later. 40 minutes into a 1-hour show, either a comment or a question on a point that was covered. So I do appreciate each and every one of you. Have a safe, successful, and productive next week. And we'll see you next week on Sunday Night Live. Thanks again.
Everyone.